Good morning everybody, just waiting for those numbers to come on to the stream. Usually fewer people kind of log in within a few minutes of the class starting, so I'll wait for everyone to get here. Before we get started, I hope you can all see me okay. I know it's a little bit kind of darker in here today. It was a really bright sun behind me and it was making it really shadowy, so we've got it nice and dark in here today, but hopefully you can see me okay and you can see what I'm doing on your screens at home. If not, you can leave me a little comment and let me know and I can maybe open up the curtains a little bit so you can see. But hopefully it's okay and it's nice and chilled for doing our stretch class this Wednesday morning. So this is a new class on the timetable. This is your kind of midweek stretch and reset. It's like an active recovery, active rest day. So great for any little niggles that you have. If you've been doing our lockdown live classes, if you've been doing some different things than usual, some more classes than usual, and you're feeling a little bit tired, if you have any little niggles, everyone's got like little bits of their body that are a little bit achy, a little bit sore. This is going to really help you stretch them out, prevent any injuries, refresh your body and get you ready for some more work towards the end of the week. So nice and relaxed, about 40-45 minutes of gentle stretching and mobility. Nice and easy. The good thing about it is you can do it in your jammies, you don't have to get dressed, you don't have to put a sports bra on. As long as you are cosy and comfy, you don't need to have any equipment or any special clothing on. Make sure you've got something comfortable on, make sure you don't have your shoes on, shoes off for our stretching. Have your yoga mats, your exercise mats ready if you have one. If not, whatever you usually use for floor work will be absolutely fine. This class today is perfect for anyone who has never done mobility work before or stretching, anyone who doesn't work out regularly. There's no mad flexibility, there's no legs behind the head, there's no going at the splits. I am personally the stiffest, least flexible person you'll ever meet in your life. I'm as stiff as a board, so there's nothing you're not going to be able to do. Lots of options as well, and if anything feels uncomfortable, if you don't want to hold the stretch or the position for as long as I am, if you want to move around, wiggle about, move around, it is your workout and you will all find your own kind of ways of working. Every body is put together differently, so everyone's going to have strengths and weaknesses, things that feel good for them, things that don't feel good for them. Move your arms around, move your legs around, change the angle, change the length, absolutely fine. So let's get ourselves ready. We're going to start on our feet just quickly, so we're going to bring it up to a standing position, and I hope you can all see me okay. We are going to start by placing our hands on our lower back. If you want a little bit more, you can hold on to the elbows, but just have the hands coming in, and all we're going to do is we're going to work on hollowing out through the front. So we're going to pull those shoulders forward, hollowing out through that torso, so scooping out in here, separating those shoulder blades, pulling through, holding that stretch. We're just balancing our systems here, and then we're going to reverse and we're going to pull those elbows back and we're going to hollow out through the back. So the hollow in the back, hollow in the front. So let's switch it forward. So if you're holding onto the elbows, you're going to pull those elbows forward, tuck that chin, hollowing out, pulling that navel in towards the spine, separating those shoulder blades, and then reversing, pulling the chest forward, through the heart forward, hollowing out that lower back, stretching it out, raising the chin. Let's do that again. So hollowing out through the front, pulling that chin, tucking down, separating those shoulder blades, and then hollowing out through the back, coming forward. Nice stretch across the back. If you feel any popping, any clicking through your upper back, that's absolutely fine, nothing to worry about. Let's keep moving through the cervical spine, the thoracic spine. It's just releasing any little air bubbles that have been trapped between those vertebrae as you've been sleeping. Lovely. Last time, hollowing out through the front, really stretching out across the top of that back, and coming forward. Good. We're going to come into a nice roll down and a little forward fold. So we're going to have our feet just hip width apart, coming up the top of your mat. We are just going to roll down vertebra by vertebra, reaching those hands down, letting that head hang, coming down as far as you can. Take a nice generous bend in the knee if you need it. If you feel your hamstrings are tight, bend that knee. Let's let the head hang. Let's shake our head and nod our head, releasing that neck. Let all the blood flow to your head, shaking out, releasing any tension in that neck, in that jaw, nice and gentle. And then we're going to come up to a halfway up position, so back nice and flat, hands on those knees, stretch out that back, and then coming back down into our hang. If you want to hold on to the elbows here, release from side to side, releasing that back, or let the heads and hands hang, coming up to that halfway position, hands just above the knees, trying to pull that heart forward, stretching out that upper back, and then let's bring up, nice big stretch, and then folding back down again. Let's go down again. Can we get a little bit further down? Take that bend in the knee if you need to, reaching those hands down. You might feel you can come a little bit further down this time, stretching out that back. Lovely, letting the head hang, and then coming up to our halfway position, stretching out that back, trying to pull that heart forward. Nice flat backs here, release that neck if you need to roll through here, and then coming back down again, letting that head hang, forward fold. Again, if you want to hold on to the elbows and help encourage that head down a little bit further, let yourself hang, wiggle about here if you need to, release that spine, and then slowly, vertebra by vertebra, rolling back up. The last thing that comes up, apart from the ponytail, is the head. Roll those shoulders out, take a nice roll out through the shoulder. Last thing in our little forward fold, we're going to come into a wide stance, so toes facing forward. Take those feet wider than hips, knees nice and soft, brace that spine, and let's take a nice wide legged forward fold. You should be able to get your hands a little bit lower in this position because you're moving the pelvis back and the hips back and getting a little bit more forward folding. So if you can get your hands to the ground, excellent. If you can't, just let them hang wherever's comfortable. You can hold on to the ankles if you want to take a little hold here, whatever feels comfortable for you, and let the head hang. We're trying to push the hips up and bring the heart down, and just let that head hang, feeling that stretch up the back of those legs into the hamstrings. Again, if you need to take a little bend in the knee, you can take a little bend in the knee, stretching out, coming up to that halfway, just flat through the back, keeping that chin nice and relaxed, pulling the heart forward, and then coming back down into that stretch. Wherever you feel comfortable, maybe you'll come a little bit further this time now that we're easing off. Try and keep the heels down on the ground, just rocking back and forward in that stretch, feeling all those muscles release, feeling that tension drain away. Good. And we're going to come back up again, nice and slow. Head comes up, heel toe, those feet in, nice and narrow, and we're going to take it down nice and slowly onto the mat. So we're going to finish working through the back of our body, releasing our backs, releasing our spines, working through the chest. We're going to separate our knees and come into our child's pose. So bring that chest down through the knees, hands come forward. Let that forehead drop onto the mat. I'm just going to pop my hair up out the way so you can see what I'm doing, but you're going to stay in your child's pose, pushing those hips back, breathing nice and deeply, stretching out that back, trying to walk those fingertips a little bit further forward if you can. So try and just creep them forward, keeping that bum pressed onto those heels. And if at any point during the class you want to come back into this child's pose, this is where to come. If anything feels uncomfortable, come back into the stretch as you need to. We are going to walk our hands over to the left hand side, and we're going to let our chest just hang onto that knee. So try and pulling the heart forward and down, Take a nice stretch through the back and a little twist. If you can, we're going to pop that right hand over our left and stretch out through the right side of the body. So feeling that nice rotation through the upper body. Nice deep breaths here, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then slowly walk your hands back to centre. We're going to come to the right hand side, so walking over, trying to keep our knees down, just twisting the upper body slightly over to the right. Hands come down. If you can, left hand crosses over the right hand, and you're really just tilting the upper body over towards the right knee. Feeling that stretch in the side body, relaxing into it. And then when you're ready, walking the hands back around and taking that child's pose, dropping the head. Really try and walk those fingertips forward a little bit, really stretch through the back. And then when you're ready, walking those hands back up, roll out the shoulders. We're going to do another little lying twist here, so we're going to bring the knees in slightly, so knees a little bit narrower. We're going to come onto our hands and knees position, our tabletop position. From here, we're going to take our right hand, we're going to thread it under the body. We're going to thread the needle, and we have our right ear coming down towards the ground. So right arm reaches through, left hand stays on the ground. Our right shoulder and right ear come down to the mat and take that stretch. You can push down through this left hand, or you can walk that hand forward and flatten out and try and get that shoulder down towards the ground a little bit further. So lying in this nice ear to floor, shoulder on the mat. Just keep reaching that right hand through. And when you're ready, place that left hand back on the mat, coming up to tabletop position, and we're going to do that again on the other side. So left hand threads through, left ear comes to mat, reaching those left fingertips as far as you can. And again, right hand can stay pressed onto the mat, or you can walk those fingers forward. And just enjoy this nice twist. Two more deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then we walk that hand back in, we uncurl, we come up, and we're going to come into our cat-cows. So on our tabletop position, hands are under the shoulders, our knees are under the hips. Make sure that your top of your feet are flat on the mat, don't tuck your toes here, nice and flat on the mat. Stretching out a nice flat back, just tuck the chin, and then we are going to, like we did at the very start, we're going to round off our back. So separating those shoulder blades, hollowing out through the core, tucking that chin to the chest, and then we uncurl and we come up and arch the other way. Lifting that chin, scooping out through that lower back. This is really good for any lower back pain, any achy lower backs. And then moving through, arching that back. And releasing. So we'll do a few more of these in your own time, nice and slow. Push down through the heels of the hands. Separate those shoulder blades, tuck that chin. Scooping out through the torso. And then coming the other way. Try and keep that chin nice and high. Stretch out the neck if you need to relax the neck here. And last one. Stretching out that back. Coming the other way, nice and fluid. Excellent. How does that feel? If you need to do a few more here, You can do a few more here. We're going to come into our prone position, so send those knees back, stretch out the back. If you need to wiggle that back out a little bit, stretching out, release any tension that you're holding on, ease out those shoulders, and then we're going to come down into either our Sphinx or our Cobra pose. So we have Sphinx, so we bring the hips down and we come up on the forearms, top of the feet on the mat, and we just pull that chest up, away from the mat, stretching out through our back, pushing our forearms into the mat, looking ahead. If you want a little bit more, you can come into that Cobra where we bring the hands under the chest and release to the front of the body. Try and keep those hips pressing into the mat. Try and keep the shoulders down away from the ears. And just stretching out that back and that chest. If this is too much for you, come back into that Sphinx and just keep your elbows on the mat. Pulling those shoulders down away from the ears. Stretching out that lower back. Press those hips, press that pelvis into the mat. Top of the feet flat on the ground. And just enjoy that stretch. If you do want a little more, if you think, okay, I'm going to go up to Cobra, come back down onto the mat, hands come under the shoulders, and we just stretch back up. So try not to come up off the mat, try and keep those hips on the mat. Pull those shoulders away, and just enjoy that stretch. It's going to feel really good across your back. Excellent, lovely. When you're ready, bring those knees back into your child's pose position. Take a few seconds here just to reset. Give yourself a little wiggle side to side. And then slowly come up. We're going to come and sit cross-legged. So we're going to release through our shoulders and our neck, finish off with our upper back. What is going on here? Don't look too much at the hair. Good, so coming, sitting cross-shouldered, cross legs. Roll the shoulders back and down, sitting up nice and tall, lifting up through that spine, lifting that heart. And we are going to release the neck. So, tilt your ear. So I'm going to go to the left first. So just tilting that ear towards the shoulder, trying to keep everything upright and just extending the angle through this right hand side. If you want a little more, you're going to reach the right hand away, so pushing the palm away from the body, increasing that angle, holding that arm just a few inches away from the knees, up from the ground, pushing that palm away, and we can bring the left hand up, hold onto that ear, and just encourage that neck over. If that's too much for you, you don't have to do that part of the stretch. You can just give yourself a little neck massage here, just roll gently, nodding the head. And then release that hand, release the right hand, coming up to center, and then we're going to go the other way. So ear comes towards the right, left hand comes up, palm pushes away, feel that stretch through the left hand side of that neck. Other hand stays on the ground or comes up, gently holds on to that left ear and just encourages that head and neck over slightly. Again, nod the head a few times, just until you can feel that nice comfortable stretch. You can drop that other hand if that's too much. And then we're uncurling, coming back up to center, releasing that neck. Just roll through some big circles, circling one way, and then circling the other. Good. So that should feel a little bit easier in the neck now. You should feel nice and ease out any tension in our jaw and in our neck. Let's come into a little side stretch. So we're going to put our left elbow, if we can, down onto the ground. Right hand comes over, and And we're trying to encourage that elbow down towards the ground, hands coming up overhead, feeling that stretch up the side of the body, releasing through the ribs. Try and make sure that the knees and the bum don't lift off. We're pushing down through that side of the body and trying to encourage the left elbow down. Good. So can we bring the shoulder and this elbow a little bit further over? Can we relax down into it a little bit more? And then slowly coming up and onto the other side. So our right elbow comes down onto the mat and our left hand comes up overhead. So you might find that one side is a little bit easier than the other, so I can't get this elbow as low on this side. That's okay, just keep working. The more you do this, the more flexibility you will achieve as time goes on. Stretching over. Good, and bringing it up. We're going to just do some circles with our elbows. So we're going to bring the elbows together and the hands behind the head, so thumbs come down the back of the neck. You can give that neck a little massage here if you want to. Squeeze those elbows together and then drawing them down the body and then together up through the back of the neck, squeezing them together and then drawing that circle down. Last time, up, squeeze those elbows together, coming down the body all the way around, and then we're just going to place our fingers on our shoulders. You can just walk those fingers up and down the neck, pull down on those shoulders, both at the same time, easing off through those shoulders, pulling them away from the ears. Walking those fingers back up and back down, and then gentle tug down through the shoulders. Good. How does that feel? Make sure you're not clenching your jaw. Good. So we've worked all of our upper body, we've worked our back. Let's get a little bit of light in here if we can, so you can see a little bit better. There we go. We've worked our upper body, we've worked through our back, through our shoulders. We're going to take it into a nice hip opening sequence here. If you sit at your desk all day, if you have a desk job or work from home job, you might find that your hips are quite stiff and quite tight. So we're going to work through some nice variations, some nice combos to really open up, stretch those hips. If you've been running in lockdown, any little clicks and kind of tightness will hopefully try and ease out a little bit. So we're going to stay nice and low on our mats. We're going to come down into a nice low lunge. So we're going to start with our left foot forward. So bringing it forward in between those hands. I'm going to come back so you can see me a little bit. So try and keep that back knee off the ground if you can. If you need to drop the knee and place the foot flat on the ground. If you can, tuck those toes and just keep that knee up off the ground. Bringing that chest onto that knee. And just releasing those hips. Feeling that nice stretch through those legs. Again, if you want to place the knee down, tuck the toes, untuck the toes, and then just working through, you want to just bring those hips forward and back until you can get into that nice comfortable position. You can maybe drop the hips a little bit lower. If you need to wiggle them out, and come in. Wiggle the foot, make sure you've got your foot nice and comfortable. You don't need to hold really static holds here. You can move the body until you feel the position that's right for you. Lovely. We are going to just walk those toes out and then bring the hands into the middle. So make sure that knee is now facing out towards the left. Hands come into the middle. And we can just use our left elbow to help push that knee out a little bit. Coming into our lizard pose. If you can bring the forearms down, you can bring the forearms down here a little bit lower, or you can stay here Just encouraging that knee out with the elbow or with the palm. You can even put the left hand on, just pulling the hip, getting some external rotation through that hip. Good, easing in. And then we're going to come into our swan pose. You might know it's a pigeon pose. So we're going to just bring that foot back and then drop it down. So we're dropping that knee onto the mat and coming to sit with our heel tucked into our pelvis. So you might know it as pigeon pose, but that's more if you're holding strength in the muscle. We would call it swan pose, which is where you're just relaxing through the joints and through the muscles. So our knee is down. If you can bring your forearms down onto the mat. That heel is coming into the pelvis. Try and make sure that the knee is sitting out the way rather than forward at the moment. If you want to come even further, you can bring the hands out and drop the head down. And then walking the hands back up. If you've stayed up at the top of the move, your hands will be here. We're now going to turn the knee facing forward, so we're going to just have that knee coming forward through the body, facing the same direction as your head and your torso. Can we get those hips a little bit lower? Knees facing forward, hands either side of the knee, chest stays high, reaching up through the upper body. If you want a little more, you can bend the back knee up. You can hold on to that back knee and feel that stretch. You can just have it here. If that's not comfortable, just keep that knee down on the ground. So just reaching, nice two-way stretch through those hips. And release. And then we're going to do that again on the other side. So if I turn around, so you can see we're going to come into that runner's lunge with the right foot forward. So we're going to put the right foot in between those hands, either dropping that back knee or staying up on those toes. So foot is in the middle of your mat, hands are either side. If you need to drop that knee, flatten that foot, and just again moving forward and back until you can get that nice long lunge position. Try and keep that chest up and forward. If you've got in that runner's lunge, you can just saw forward and back a little bit until you feel that stretch. And then we're going to walk that knee to the outside, so hands come in the middle, dropping that back toe, and then we use that elbow just to encourage that knee out towards the side, taking that external rotation through the hip. You can use the hand of the right side just to pull on that knee again. If you need to release and come back in, release and come back in. You might get a little bit deeper. Knee comes out towards the side of the body in our lizard pose. Good. If you need to come back into your child's pose at any point, release and come back. That's your option. And we're going to take it into our swan pose. So bringing that knee in and then placing it down onto the mat, coming nice and low. So the knee is facing out towards the side, foot is tucked into the pelvis, and if you want to come down onto your forearms or down even lower, pressing that chest into the mat. If you want to stay up here, just staying up in that nice swan position. Play around, see if you can roll through that pelvis to get that hip a little bit lower, that hip crease lower into the ground. And then we're going to turn that knee to the front. So just take that little turn so that the knee is facing the front and then dropping down. So everything's facing forward. And then placing that chest over that knee. Again, if you want a little more, you bring the back foot up and you can hold on and take that little two-way stretch. You can just have the foot up, or you can leave the foot down on the mat. Coming up, placing the hand, coming up right if you want to feel a little bit more. If you're really flexible, you might get that toe right in towards the head. I'm not expecting anyone to do that today. Good. Just roll through that hip and then coming back into your child's pose. Bring those hips back, sitting down onto those heels. Release those hips. Coming down, pushing those fingertips, walking them away. Wiggle those hips in till you feel nice and comfortable. And then walking up. We're going to come sitting forward. We've done this a few times in my warm-ups and cool-downs. This is a nice way to finish that hip sequence. So we have our feet on the ground, knees bent, back nice and straight, hands come back to support us, and we're just going to drop our knees side to side. Try not to move our bum or our feet, so the only thing moving are those knees. 90-90, external and internal rotation through those hips. Chest is nice and high. Dropping a little bit further if we can each time. Don't know if you can see my full feet and my knees. Up to middle. Dropping. Try not to lift those seat muscles off the ground. Good. Coming up to centre. We're going to take our knees into 90-90. So one knee comes forward and one knee goes back into that nice 90-90 position, or as close as you can get. We're going to take a little rotation here again. So we're going to place the back hand behind us, past that back foot. We're going to bring the front hand onto that back knee, and we're just going to take that twist over to the right, unless your knees are going to the left, in which case you'll go the other way. Good. So placing that hand on that knee, taking that twist, trying to keep those seat muscles down on the ground, bum not lifting off. And then uncurling, bringing both hands to the front knee, and we're going to drop down over that front knee, forearms onto the ground, feeling that stretch through the hamstring, through that back hip. And then walking up, we're going to change our knees the other way, so the back leg comes forward, front leg goes back, 90-90 if we can. You can help place the feet in that nice angled position. Seat bones come down onto the mat, and we take that twist. So back hand comes around, goes in between the back leg and your bum. Front hand comes forward onto that knee, and we just take that twist through the torso, looking out to the side. Can we encourage that hand to come round a little bit further? Pressing those knees down, keeping those sit bones down on the mat. Holding here. Enjoy that twist. And then slowly untwist, bring those hands over the front knee, and then we're going to drop onto our forearms, taking our chest up and over that front knee, pressing those knees into the mat, keeping those sit bones down, and just feeling that stretch to the outside of the hip and into the hamstrings. So the body's rotated slightly over that front knee, 30-degree angle. And then walk those hands up, coming up, uncurling the knees, shake them out if you need to. If you need to release here. Good, pushing those heels forward, easing out through those knees. Just do a few cycles here. We're going to finish this little sequence with some ankle flexibility. So we're going to come with one foot forward, one knee back. We're going to come and try and wiggle that knee back a little bit until you can feel that you can drop into that little hip opening, and we're going to work on just decreasing the angle of that front ankle. So we're going to work on trying to make this front angle, this dorsiflexion, even narrower. So bringing the knee forward over the toes, feeling that stretch up the calf, and working on mobility in the front of the ankle. You can drop the chest onto the knee and get a little bit deeper. So that angle here should be getting smaller as we push through that ankle. So try and pull the toes up towards you, try and pull up through the shin, releasing through the calf, and then coming onto the other side. So right foot comes forward, try and just walk that knee back a little bit, and then pulling that knee over those toes, decreasing the angle of the front of the dorsiflexion on the ankle. If you can drop your chest and try and get a little bit more stretch to the front of that ankle, stretching out to the back of the calf, pulling those toes up towards you if you can, really, really easing into that ankle. Good, coming out with a stretch. Coming to lie on our backs, last few minutes here. We're going to bring our knees into our chest, holding our hands a cradle over our knees. We're just going to rock side to side. Releasing that lower back, massaging that lower back onto the mat. And then one hand on each knee, we're just going to draw some circles, so separating those knees, bring them back together. Nice big circles. Going out the way. Pulling those knees in towards the chest. And then going the other way. So let's change directions. Drawing big, wide circles. Pressing that lower back onto the mat. Good. And then holding on to the left knee, we're going to drop the right leg down, and we're just going to see if we can open that knee out towards the side. So your back, lower back presses into the mat, left leg is down, left hand is down. Use that left hand just to encourage that knee open. Over towards the side, pulling out through those adductor muscles on the inside of that leg. And then we put that knee over the opposite way. So we drop it over the right leg, use the right hand to pull that knee over, left hands come out, and we look over towards that left hand. Taking a little two-way stretch, a little spinal stretch. Encouraging that knee over, try and keep the shoulders pressing onto the mat. And then come up, knees come up. We're going to hold on to the left knee this time, the right knee, left leg comes straight. Right hand onto right knee, inside of right knee, and just try and open it out to the side. Encouraging that hip open. Seeing how far we can get that knee down towards the ground. Nice opening stretch. And then bringing that knee over, left hand comes onto right knee, bringing that knee over, right hands come out and looking out towards those right hands, shoulders pressing onto the mat, knee drops over that left leg, two-way stretch. And releasing, we're just going to bring both of our feet down, lying down in our supine position. We bring our palms facing up, down beside our body, relaxing and melting into that mat. Closing the eyes. We're going to take 3 deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Fill those lungs and release. Last one. Relax that jaw. Don't clench the jaw. Open the mouth if you need to, stretching out. Releasing, gently placing the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Just relaxing here, melting yourself into that mat. Feeling like you're floating. And then start to bring the awareness into your toes. Wiggling your toes. Flexing those feet. You can roll the ankles, bringing the awareness up the legs, into the knees. Release those knees from the mat. Give them a little wiggle. Bring that awareness up into the hips. Give it a little pelvic tilt. Just releasing through that pelvis. Bringing up the body, up the spine, into the heart, up into the shoulders. Release those shoulders. Feel the awareness coming down your hands, into your fingertips. Wiggle your fingers, release those hands. Give your wrists a little roll. Coming back up the arms, into the neck, rolling the head from side to side. Release that neck. That awareness comes up, opening your eyes, and it shoots out through the top of your head. And you can lie here and relax for as long as you need to. If you're ready, you can just roll up, coming up into a seated position. And thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. I know it was a little bit dark today. I'll have to see next week what the sun's going to be like. I'll maybe bring a couple more lights in so you can see a little bit better. But hopefully you feel nice and a mixture of relaxation and energization. When you get up, have a nice drink, take it nice and easy, relax. Hopefully you feel a little bit looser, a little bit more flowing through the body. Hopefully any little niggles have been eased there. You can watch this video back anytime. You can even do little parts of it. So I've separated it out. We've done our back, we've done our neck and our shoulders, then we did our hips. And then we did a little bit of twisting, so you can take those little sort of 10-minute chunks and just do one at a time if you need to work on any part of your body. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll be back again next week. I'll be back Monday at 10:30 and Wednesday hopefully for some more stretching, and we'll maybe add a few little variations in. Any feedback for me at all, pop them in the comments, and I will hopefully see you all soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.